I'm not sure that anybody will ever win the World Darts Championship younger than that.
You hear some disgruntled players saying about, oh, he's stealing the limelight. He's making you more money.
He has done maybe more for darts in the last 12 months than any of us have ever before.
Hello and welcome along to the final episode of Aces and Arrows, talkSPORT's darts podcast, brought to you in association with GGPoker, the world's largest online poker room. 18 plus, visit gambleaware.org for more information, and please play responsibly. Now, after a captivating conclusion to this year's World Darts Championship, where the green machine was beaten by the teen machine, I am delighted to be joined by Paul Nicholson and Chris Mason to delve into the highs and the lows of this year's tournament. There is only one place to start, because after that 7-3 victory over Michael van Gerwen, Luke Littler became the youngest ever winner of the World Darts Championship. Nico, starting with you, where does Littler now rank in the list of all-time greats after that victory?
Well, one season in, and it started pretty well with 11 titles, so I suppose he's got to be knocking on the door of the greats already, because some of the greats of the sport haven't even won 11 titles. That's quite a remarkable thing, but I think we should probably press pause on stuff like that and just let him continue to play for 2-3 years and see what he does. He could even be in the top 5 by the time he's 21, and that is a scary thing. But I will say one thing on the record: I'm not sure that anybody will ever win the World Darts Championship younger than that. I mean, how could they? He is a phenomenal, he's a great player, and he's just shown that in the biggest pressure circumstances, he can deliver.
Yeah, I think that was one of the most impressive things, wasn't it? Because it was another ton-plus average in the final, 56% checkout success. And I certainly watched that going, at some point, surely we're going to see some nerves from him. And they just didn't come.
No, I did a preview with Barzy, and I said that I felt that Michael might want it too much. And I think the only time you'll see a little twitch will be in that final dart to get over the line, and there was a slight twitch, but ultimately got there in the end. And yeah, I'm with Nico. I don't think we'll see anybody of that age. It's a bit like Mike Tyson winning the heavyweight championship of the world at 20. It's just a number that doesn't make sense, because where do you get that much experience and knowledge? Where do you acquire it from when you're only 17? He's not even old enough to go in the pub. Well, he's old enough to go in, not to get served. Yeah, I just think it's one of those phenoms, isn't it? We've seen it with tennis players, we've seen it with golfers, footballers, but in a sport like darts, it's just so unexpected. I mean, Michael was 17 when he first came along, but and I think we should hold our horses on where he goes as an all-time great, because I never thought Michael, when he had that downturn in form and he literally couldn't get a win anywhere, that could happen. I doubt it. The throw isn't complicated, so I don't think that will happen. It may be a case by the time he's 21, he's had enough anyway. I've read stuff on Facebook about he'll win 20 world titles. He's got to have a lot of desire to have sort of what by the time he's 21, he'll probably have 10 mil in the bank. Is he gonna want to graft and travel? I think he'll take up something else. Maybe go back to football.
We just don't know what he wants to do moving forward, but we should revel in the fact that he has done maybe more for darts in the last 12 months than any of us have ever before, because of the places he's been, the people he's been speaking to, the doors he's been opening up.
I mean, sponsorship via Xbox. I mean,
that's just
like,
and boohoo men.
Yeah, it's we've never seen anything like it, and the attention from other famous people, and then the attention from just the general public. Walking around Tesco's on Sunday, it took me 2 hours to get round, because everybody was just stopping, asking about Luke.
I have a really big point to make here when it comes to Littler, because if you look at two sports that I've followed a lot in my life, basketball and golf. In 1984, when Jordan was signing his first deal with a very, very big sportswear company, he changed their fortunes forever, and that sportswear brand changed him as well. When Tiger Woods came around and was an amateur in 1996 and still won on the PGA Tour as an amateur, he'd then go on to win the Masters in 1997. Golf's never been the same because of Tiger Woods. Luke Littler is the Tiger Woods of darts because of... And if anybody wants to argue that, I'd happily do it.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Because the fact is, he's opened more doors, important doors, than anybody ever has. Maybe with the exception of Rob Cross, because in 2018, when he was signing with SAP, we thought, what's that? That's a software company. This is not something that we're used to seeing on a dart player's jersey. But Luke's taking it to another level.
Like Dave's plastering services and things like that. Well, it's like that iconic moment with the golf ball, like you say, with Tiger Woods, where it's just teetering. I mean, that in terms of branding and position of branding, it couldn't be any better. And I agree, Luke's going down that road. I mean, where does it stop? He's been on every morning and news program, and the attention is remarkable, and we all benefit. That's the thing. Is you hear some disgruntled players saying about, he's stealing the limelight. He's making you more money. He's making all of us more money.
Yeah, and you've mentioned it there, where does it go from here? 10 titles in his maiden season as a professional, 4 9-darters. At one point, it looked like he was going to smash that record. How he's only ended up with 4, which seems ludicrous to say, but how he's only ended up with 4 is quite something. But going forward, now that he is world champion, how does he get better? Because he kind of plays with this game like a cat with a mouse at times. We've seen him on Players' Championship and Euro Tour stages where he changes his equipment, he will change his throw, and he can still win games. He can do whatever he wants in this game. How does he get better? How does he elevate himself further?
I'm going to use your words as to how he gets better. He can do whatever he wants. Now, the key is, I don't know how Mace feels about this at this early stage of 2025, but there are 34 Players' Championships this year. There are 14 European Tours. He is the world number 2, which is a phenomenal thing to do in 12 months.
1 year.
Incredible. But it's paramount that with Premier League, with World Series, with a full tour as well, that the schedule is pretty much ironed out now. And there's a possibility if another event is needed, for whatever reason, do it later in the year. But at the start, with the Premier League and stuff, plan it and do it now. And you don't have to play everything.
I'd probably bin off the Players' Championships unless it's pre a tournament that he wants to almost, just sharpen his tools on. I wouldn't bother with them. What's the point? He's not like doing what we were doing. We were chasing a pound. No, he don't need to chase money, does he? He can pick and choose, and for his own mental welfare, that's what I think he will be doing. And it won't be down to laziness, because it's actually sensible. Sort of plan your diary out, you know what you're doing. He can do all his stuff that he wants to do around it, go to football games or, go on holiday, or he can do what he wants. He literally can do what he wants. But I think we've seen the peak of him in the match where he averaged 140.91. I mean, that was just, that's just madness. Like,
it didn't feel real.
No, it was almost like you were watching some kind of AI thing, like computer darts or something. It was, I was watching it going, what's going on here? Is this on a loop? It was like watching darts on loop. I just never seen nothing like it. It was, and that was on the back of having a pretty poor game up to that point, where he didn't look comfortable at all. But I think you've seen there where his ceiling is. So, can he break average records? I think so. Will he break the 9-dart record? I think, depending on, like I said, depending if he manages his schedule and he does the right type of practice and he keeps it sharp. I'm with Nico. He can do what he wants, and I think he can literally go as far as he wants in the sport. There's no one out there that is doing anything that he can't do better.
And moving it on then to Michael van Gerwen, it is so rare that we see him going into the World Championship without a major under his belt. That's what he did head into Ali Pali, and we saw an incredible response up to the final, really. It was a really valiant run to that point of the tournament. For you, Nico, do you see this as a bit of a turning point? Because one of the matches that stands out for me is his game against Callan Ridds, because I'll hold my hands up. At that point, I didn't believe he had that level in him right now to be able to turn the screw when his back was against the wall. Yes, I know he missed too many darts at double early on in that final, but I feel like we saw something from MVG this tournament that has been missing for quite a while.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think a lot of the words coming from Michael have been very bullish, talking with confidence, maybe talking a better game than we thought he actually had, but in that Ridds game, he proved that it's still there. Even with imperfect technique, or maybe in the midst of evolving the technique to a degree where he is 100% comfortable again, you got to give him a lot of credit. I remember in 2022's championship, we were lauding Peter Wright, saying, amazing that he won the 2020 championship and he defended the £500,000. Michael van Gerwen has just defended 200,000 ranking points. Who does that? Not very many people. So give Michael the credit he deserves, because he has kept himself in the top 3 in the world, ready to strike. And if he's got the same sort of motivation that we saw at times at Ali Pali, I think Michael's going to have a great 2025. Maybe not to the same vintage levels as 2017 or some others, but I think better than the previous 2. If you can pick up a couple of Euro Tours, a few floor titles and something sizable, that will be a win for him. And I can see it happening now.
Yeah, absolutely. And moving on to the tournament as a whole. Look, the World Championship is great to see stories like Luke Littler picking up his first title. But for me, it is also about the likes of Robert Owen retaining his tour card privileges, Kevin Dutz having a breakthrough tournament in terms of a big TV event, and Rashad Sweetin just doing Rashad Sweetin things. He was absolutely superb against Jeffrey de Graaf. But what were the standout moments for you?
I think that set from Littler was something it's unforgettable if you're a darts fan or have played the game at any level. You sort of watch it with aghast. Really, it was remarkable. I think it was a bit of a disappointing tournament for me in a whole.
Yeah,
especially the early stages. I thought a lot of the seeded players looked burnt, looked edgy. I thought a lot of the overseas players were fabulous, the ones that you don't expect too much from, like Rashid. But yeah, in a whole, I liked the bit with, even though he went on to get beat by Pricey, I liked Joe Cullen's response, but it was a bit daft really, because he was aiming the abuse at the people and then said, "Well, I know you don't do the odds compiling." Well, they've compiled those odds and give you those prices because of your form. But I quite like seeing Joe a little bit spiky. I think it does him good. I think it suits him. And I thought, we'll talk about it later, but my match of the tournament was him and Pricey. It wasn't the highest averages in the world, but you don't need 100+ averages if it's a real competitive back and forth game and it had a comeback in it, had a last leg shootout. I loved the players' responses during the game. It was played in good spirit. And that put a smile on my face, that one, even just thinking about the game now.
Nico, any standout moments for you?
9 darters.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you hit a 9 darter and you got no guarantee of winning the match. I mean,
it's almost the opposite now, isn't it?
It's a jinx.
Christian Kist is a great example of a dart player who's had adversity, who's got an abundance of talent. He keeps knocking on that door, even if his knees buckle. And I've got so much respect for Christian, and I'm stoked for him to get that big payday, even though he didn't win the match. And you look at the person in the crowd who won the money as well. They had the ticket bought for them by their grandfather. It's just a superb story. And then Damon hits the 9. He loses his match. And what a cataclysmic amount of emotions in about 60 minutes for him. He goes and hits the perfect leg, his first big stage one like that, and then within 45 minutes, he's out of the tournament thinking, well, what do I do now? But 9 darters don't make the sunrise. If you want to get the sunrise, you've got to wake up the next morning as a winner.
Yeah, I think about 16 in the Worlds and 9 have won the matches and 7 have lost after hitting a 9. That's a remarkable stat.
And to be fair, in this year's World Championship, Damon Hetter's the only one who managed to hit one and knew about the 60k, because Christian Kist had absolutely no idea.
Do you believe that, though?
I actually do.
Well, when Alan Norris hit one down at Minehead, he was led on the sofa in the apartments as you drive in, and I sort of was chatting to Jackie about it, so it's a lovely bonus for Alan, 35 grand, and I can hear my phone vibrating in my back pocket, and he's, what you on about? He said, I fell off the sofa. He said, I didn't know. Because it used to be a rollover then, didn't it? But I seen Paddy on finals day, and I said, geez, you give away sort of over 1 million. You're the happiest man I've ever seen for giving away over 1 million. He was over the moon. And finals day was great. There was loads of famous people there. Michael McIntyre was there. Yeah. Of course, we had the talkSPORT Drive team there as well, which is I think that's a real good concept. They did it last year, and
Tim Vine came as well. He's a huge darts fan.
Oh, he plays, doesn't he? He plays in the league.
Yeah, he's very decent indeed. But now it is time for GGPoker's ace pairing. Over the course of this tournament, we've been picking the 3 matches each week that we've been looking forward to the most. But now with the World Championship over, well, we're putting a bit of a twist on that, and we're going to be highlighting the 3 matches that we feel have delivered in terms of drama and high quality performances. But you can try your hand too by visiting the world's largest online poker room, ggpoker.co.uk. So we're going to start with our ace pairing, then the king and the queen. So Mace, coming to you first, your ace pairing for this one. You have already teed it up, but tell us why.
Yeah, Joe Cullen against Gerwyn Price. There was all the bits that went on before it with Joe walking out of the press conference, and he was all right with us. He gave us about a 6-minute interview.
Yeah, nothing wrong with me either. Nothing at all.
Yeah. It just had everything. It had every bit of drama, it had tension. You just, at one stage, it was just so back and forth. I know there was Mickey Mansell game, of course, went to a last legger, but it didn't quite have the drama or the, not necessarily needle, because they're good pals, but that allowed them to express themselves without fear of upsetting each other, and they both sort of left it all on stage. And good sign for Joe as well, on a personal note, going forward in 2025. Yeah,
the 170 wasn't bad either. But I do have to ask, because it's not the first time we've seen Joe Cullen lose in a match similar to that on the Ali Pali stage. Yes, it must hurt, but Nico, just picking up on what Mace said, he has to take the positives, has to take the good things out of that match, because there was a lot to like from his first round match and that one, of course.
Yeah, I think if he's going to take one thing, it's that when the chips are down, no pun intended, because we're here with GGPoker, of course, but when the chips are down, if you can find a 170 finish to save your skin, there's something in there.
Yeah.
Something to work with. So when he starts practicing, which should be within the next week or 2 to get ready for the new season, let's face it, look at that checkout and say to yourself, I was able to find that when I really needed it. I can dig deep. But maybe the thing with Joe over the last few years, he has accused himself of being the tiniest bit lazy. So if he's being honest with himself, has he put in enough work? And if he's honest with himself, he will know how to move forward. I'm with Chris. I think there's still a lot to get from Joe, maybe even the best that we've ever seen. So as long as he puts in the work, absolutely brilliant.
And although the money in darts is great, we spoke about it before, that's the danger. It makes you lazy. And I see it in the players all the time. They walk around different. It is great, but you're gonna have to, I think the type of players coming through will be the ones that are not money driven. And the thing is with Luke Littler as well, he's been making a lot of money out of darts for a long time, not this kind of money. So I don't think he's at all influenced or affected by money. It's just I worry about the players' dedication and application now. And Joe being a perfect example, he's doing very well out of the sport. He's a popular player, busy on the exhibition circuits. But yeah, I do worry about the players.
When Liverpool players walk out at Anfield, you notice how some of them touch the sign when they come through the tunnel. If I were to give Joe some advice, it would be print the word legacy and put it on the door of your practice room and touch it every time before practice. What will be your legacy when you're finished? If you're not happy with it the way it is, put in the work and create a legacy for yourself.
I'm sorry, I feel like you've disrespected him there. Sorry, but I will say, on a serious note, when it comes to Joe Cullen, I think I speak for all of us when I say we are desperate to see him get back to his best, because when he is at his best, he is one of the best players in the world to watch. He was so agonisingly close to winning the Premier League, and that far. And we all want to see him get back to that level, because he is an absolute thrill to watch and incredible for this sport. And we all want to see him get back to that level. So I really do hope that happens very soon. But we're going to move on now to the king pairing, and I've gone for Callan Rydz against Michael van Gerwen. I was very close to picking the same match as you, but that one for me, for reasons I've already mentioned, I wasn't sure Michael van Gerwen had that level in him right now. But also Callan Rydz, absolutely remarkable campaign from him. This is someone who, in his own words, hasn't performed on a big TV stage for 18 months. He is someone who I have watched. I've covered a Players' Championship event where he has struggled to regain composure after losing the bull up in the build-up to a match. He said he was ready to walk away from this game a matter of months ago. To go from that to what he was producing on that Ali Pali stage, the changes he has made to his mentality, I am absolutely... It makes me a little bit emotional because I just think everything that he has had to do to get to this point, I don't think it's possible to give him enough credit for what he's done. And I just think the way he was able to push MVG, I just really, really hope he builds on this, which I believe he will, because I think we were questioning what happens when he goes a set down, what happens when he goes 2 sets down. And he showed that. Yeah. He still had the game and the fight to go toe-to-toe with MVG. And I thought that was one of my standout moments in conjunction with Michael van Gerwen showing that he still has that ability to show that he's a bit of a boss.
And Rids was the superior player in that game.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, I always worried about Callan. He's too emotionally invested. He takes it too personally. He takes everything to heart. And then he becomes too negative. And if you're negative, it's like a spiral. Yeah. You just get caught up in it. I spoke to him lots and lots about that, but whatever he's been doing in preparation to this, keep doing it, because that's the talent we've seen before, and we know you've seen him at Players' Champions. When he's on it, he's absolutely unplayable. And I felt for him in that game because there was 2 sets that he missed doubles into that could have made it a 5-3 scoreline in his favour. And then, in all fairness, that would have been a dream semi-final. The 2 lads from the northeast, that would have been a bit special because the semi-finals were awful. Yeah. You know that they were terrible for me. The semi-finals should be the games that tee up, and they both won in a canter. And I mean, I'm looking at it now. Bunty averaged at 100. Dobie, disappointing for him, but he didn't play well all tournament. 94 of 77 in that semi-final. I think that was his tournament average pretty much. And for him, but that showed a different element to his game as well, which impressed me, that he's learning that, okay, I've got this default setting now. My B game, I know how to just hold a mid-90s average when I know I'm not hitting 180s off the lampshades, and that's an encouraging sign, because that is something that was missing from Rids' game. Yeah,
that's true. I think as much as we could have looked forward to an Old Bedlington semi-final, I think the way that Callum was defeated, he can leave the stage thinking, look what it took to take me out. It took impeccable timing. One of the best performances we've seen from Michael van Gerwen in probably 18 months, if not a little bit longer. Because I go back to Poland in 2023 when he was just ridiculous, when he was in bits. And Rids, if he starts 2025 strong, heaven knows what season he could have. Heaven knows.
And I seen a post from him on Facebook, and it was typical negative Nancy stuff. And I was like, Callan, stop. And I think that went, and then there was a much more part. Someone must have said to him, stop, mate. And it was like, right, well, I've got to be proud of myself, blah, 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 moving forward into it. No, that's better. Yeah. Look forward. If you keep looking back, you'll fall over stuff that's right under your nose. And he needs to play with an element of freedom. And it's almost, I used to say about rally drivers, they must unscrew their head, get their brain, throw it out and just shut it and leave it empty. And that's what you got to play. That's how you got to play the game. It's literally devoid of emotion. Yeah. Very much how Littler plays. You watch him and it's just pretty much all business, and he's creative, and I think that gets rid of the boredom sometimes.
He's got to watch some of those games back as well, because his control, not just mentally, but his control with his technique, which has been up and down over the last couple of years. Everything was clicking. The 180s were there, the huge performances were there, the composure. If he can find that for a period of 6 months, he'll be in the match play, and we'll be talking about him again.
Yeah.
So I'm confident that will happen, because I do feel like he has turned such a big corner. He said to me that, he used to be of the opinion one thing would go wrong in his life and he'd be confident then that absolutely everything would from that point. But I feel like we've turned a corner with Callan, and I think 2025, like you guys have just said, is going to be absolutely gigantic.
He should do CBT.
Yeah.
Because that will help him to learn how to reset the brain, and you start
and process the thoughts that you have, and then you can see them in a more positive light. If
I think he should hang around with Ryan Joyce a bit more, because I think Ryan's got his head screwed on. He's not actually given enough credit for how smart he is. But we'll get onto that in due course.
I don't think he's given enough credit for many things, to be honest. But I think that might lead us on to our Queen Baron.
Yeah, just a bit. I mean, what was not to like about the Ryan derby between Searle and Joyce, apart from the fact that Searle will hate the fact that he lost the match. But that was encapsulating, to say the least. We billed it as the scorer against the doubler. Ryan turned up. He did a lot right. He hit a 1-2-4 checkout on the bull to save his match. And you're thinking, right, Searle's got him now. But every time Searle did something right, Joyce found himself on a finish and he just got rid of it. And in the end, I saw a picture of Searle in the background as if to say, are you going to miss? And he barely did. That was the thing. It was 62% on the doubles. And we did see better from Peter Wright against Luke Humphreys. Let's get that straight. But the fact remains, it felt better than that.
And it was over a longer distance.
Yeah, visit-wise, it was just sublime. And we talk about people and their tendencies, but there are no better doublers in the world. A double 10 is littler. Statistically, that is a fact now. And double 16, the best player on the planet, is Ryan Joyce. And you can probably throw double 8 in there as well, just for good measure.
And you could probably put Searle in there for tops if you want.
Yeah, the stats prove it. But if you play Ryan Joyce in 2025 and you give him shots at double 16, it's your own fault.
Yeah. Just don't give him. I mean, I thought he was fabulous against Littler as well. He was the player that gave him the toughest test. I listened to it driving home. I listened to you on comms, and I was thinking about he's got him here. Yeah. He just ran out of steam in the last set. But he's another one that's openly said, look, I've got to improve things. I've got to get fitter, because that's where you'll get found out. If you fatigue, the first thing that will happen is you're mentally fatigued before your body. Your brain shuts down before your body does. The body will keep going. And in that final set, he was just sort of out on his feet, wasn't he? And it was a shame, really, because I thought he was value for money in beating Littler in that game. Well,
we both said, didn't we, in the build-up on talkSPORT, that we felt like he was going to be the player. If anyone stopped Luke Littler, it would have been Ryan Joyce to do so.
Luke was getting away with, having to get in that sixth turn when maybe he shouldn't get it, where someone's missed one or two darts. And we all said, if you miss against Ryan, he won't miss. He will find that double 16 over and over and over. But he had a fabulous tournament. That was really pleasing, because he's another one that's been a bit quiet for a while. So
yeah, Joyce has lost in the last 16. Callan Ridds has lost in the quarterfinals. Who's feeling more positive moving forward? I'm going to say Joyce, because he's just run the world champion really close.
The only one to do so.
He'll be thinking, look at what I just did in defeat. That's what Ridds has got to do. Look at what I did in defeat. It's a positive. You learn from losing more than you do when you win.
So there are 3 matches, but we have to give a notable mention as well for Ricky Evans against Dave Chisnell, because that was pretty special. Yeah. Ricky Evans, I just want to touch on that. Dave Chisnell, we know he's had his back issues coming into this tournament. We're not 100% sure where he is. For Ricky Evans, how does he push on from here and ensure that 2025, because we've seen him, last year, 12 months ago, beats Nathan Aspinall up on that stage and then still doesn't really push on in 2024, I think it's fair to say. How does he ensure that he does more in those floor events, in those Euro Tours that he qualifies for? How does he kick on?
Sure you want the honest answer here?
Yeah.
Because we are going to be honest about this. Ricky's got to get real. Thing is, 12 months ago, I wrote an article and I said I thought Ricky Evans is going to win in 2024. Made a final. I thought, okay, we nearly called it right. But what's changed? Nothing. Still going up with the Christmas song, playing the class clown. If he wants to do that, that's fine by me. Very entertaining. But he's saying that there's 16 players in the world that aren't better than him. I disagree. He hasn't won a title. I think Ricky Evans is a better player than I ever was. I've won 5 PDC titles. So what does that tell you? And there are 32 better players than him on the planet. So if Ricky's watching this is a battle cry for the 2nd year in a row. You want to prove it? Go and win a title and then keep it going. You want to have more energy? Keep going with the walking. I just don't want to be offending the kid. I really, really like him. I like everything around him. I think he's got great talent. But the fact is, go and prove it.
Right then. Ricky Evans, I hope you were watching. But whether it's cash games, tournaments, or sit and goes, GGPoker has something for everyone, with $25 million in prizes up for grabs throughout January in GGPoker's 2025 New Year giveaway. It's your chance to play like a pro. New players can sign up, make a deposit, and get £40 in free play. Don't miss the giveaway. Join the action at GGPoker at ggpoker.co.uk. You have to be 18 plus. Be gamble aware. Terms and conditions do, of course, apply. But on to our game now. And we are, at this point, I'm very sad to say, just playing for pride. But it is the final installment of 5 Dart Draw, where I'll give you up to 5 clues. You know the rules by now about a famous player. You guess who. Each clue revealing a bit more about that player. But with each additional clue you need, you get fewer points. Say your name to buzz in. Nico, we know you have an unassailable lead. You're looking very smug about it. So I'm not going to make eye contact with you for the remainder of this one.
Fair enough.
So, clue number 1. Are we ready?
We are.
I was born on the 10th of August, 1987. That was 87.
Oh.
The
Chris.
silence is great for podcasts. Thank you very much.
Steve West.
No. So you are frozen out for this one until we bring the next clue. So you've got a free guess if you would want to take that.
So looking at 37.30 here, I'll take a...
I thought you were going to get this. You got Ricky Evans last time out on his birthday, so you left yourself a very high bar.
I'll have a stab at Gervin Price.
Nope, that is not correct. So clue number 2, I won my first tour card 5 years ago this month.
Nico.
So, yeah.
Richie Edhouse.
No, not Richie Edhouse. So frozen out, Mace, the floor is yours. So born on the 10th of August 1987 and won their tour card 5 years ago this month. Of course, Q School started today as well. So very excited to see who comes through this year's field. That is in no way a clue. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Alan Suter.
Not correct, unfortunately. So clue number 3.
Oh, I think I've got it.
Yeah, I think you'll get it on this one. Before going professional as
Nico.
a player...
Is it Damon Hatter?
Yes, it is.
I just clicked on the Q School one.
That is correct. Yeah, I thought you might have got it on his birthday, considering how well you know him. But Nico, you do have the victory. You don't get any prizes, but I'm sure you will brag about that for eternity with the two of us. So thanks. That is the end of this Aces and Arrows podcast. But thank you very much for listening. And thank you to Mace and to Nico and Ian Danter, of course, and Mark Wilson, who were unable to be here today. Thank you very much for listening at home. And if you do want to get involved, make sure you head to GGPoker, the world's largest online poker room, to get involved.